I mean, whatever. At this point, we have so many great, like, outtakes of our fucking intro that I'm like, I don't even care anymore. This is part of the understaffed life, and, like, it is the understaffed life. Like, whatever. So, yeah, welcome back, guys. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Erika.
And we are Living Understaffed.
The podcast about not having enough hours or hands and when your best just isn't very good.
Absolutely. So, first of all, that's the first time that we've gotten through that intro without fucking it up. So I don't even know what's going on. My world is kind of turned upside down. You're like, hell yeah. So I do want to talk briefly. I had a really great conversation with Meg, my friend in Kansas City. She and I haven't had a chance to, like, really catch up since my trip to Romania. And we finally, like, got to catch up when she was driving home the other day. And, like, I came home and I was, like, laying in bed because I got off work early. And I'm just, like, sitting here listening to her. She's listening to me. Like, it's that perfect, really good friend phone call that you're on the phone for, like, 2 hours. And you're like, oh, thank you, So she, of course, I ask her how she's doing. She, of course, asked me how I'm doing. And I feel great about this week. Point being that for someone who lives the understaffed life, I am constantly putting things on my plate. I am constantly overfilling my plate. And we've talked about this on previous episodes, that doing that is a trauma response because you can't be left alone with your thoughts. God forbid that you be alone with the inside of your brain, That said, I told her that I feel amazing. And, I've 95% moved into my new house. And my buddy from deployment, I'm waiting for him to move into his apartment so we can split the storage unit. Like, there's all these things, there's all of these pieces that are, like, moving in the background. But I am caught up on podcast things, mostly. I am caught up on moving into the new house and unpacked, other than my Temu order that we don't talk about. And then I don't know, like, I don't feel wildly overwhelmed right now. I don't feel like I'm just behind on everything and I need to just spend 10 minutes on this so I'm a little caught up, and then 10 minutes on this, and then 10 minutes here, and then 10 minutes here, just so I make a tiny bit of progress on whatever it is I'm working on. I don't have that feeling. So that's a really, really nice feeling. This doesn't happen very often to me, if ever, that I can recall in recent history. So very cool feeling, very, like, it's almost unsettling. And I say that because I also have very severe anxiety. And my anxiety is inside my head saying, well, bitch, you forgot something. So then I'm like, oh shit, like, what did I forget? Like, what steps am I missing? What am I skipping? Like, what have I just completely forgotten that's fallen off of my plate that, like, what am I forgetting? Like, I am medicated, understood, but I'm trying to, like, I'm trying to get that piece of my brain to just shut the hell up so that I can kind of enjoy some of this downtime in which I've been forcing myself to do so. And it's a good thing. But, Friday, I got off of work early and I was like, oh man, I could go to Starbucks and I could knock out this podcast episode. I could knock out the editing. I could knock out so much of the reels and, like, getting over, all of the reels cut and transcription and all that stuff. Or I could go home and take a nap and not have to worry about an alarm all weekend. And that's what I did. I mean, I talked to my friend for a couple hours, but I was laying here, and as soon as we got off the phone, I passed out for a couple hours. And then I woke up and all I had to worry about was dinner, because I was like, just give yourself a night. I played a game on my iPad and watched Netflix by myself, listen to music. I finished an audiobook this weekend. Like, it's a little unsettling that I don't feel just super understaffed.
I think this is the first time in our entire friendship that you have not been just completely maxed energy-wise, which is good. I'm very proud of you because, yeah,
It's
it is like I all the time feel like, what am I forgetting? Or I look around my house and I'm like, these are all the things that I should be doing.
yes.
Like, I should do that load of laundry. I should there are so many things that I should do, especially since my husband and I own a house. I'm like, I should finally like paint this room, or I should.
Right.
And it's just that's when how I get really overwhelmed with myself. And lately I've just been like, I think I talked about it on our last episode. I was like really sick because I was
Yes.
traveling and then I got back and then I got really sick and then I don't know. I just like my weekends didn't feel like I didn't really feel like rested. And it's just like this weekend I feel like was a really good balance between like productive and doing fun things and also doing things that I have to do. Like I have these like floating shelves in my bathroom, which I have ADHD. I I just got my diagnosis. Anyway, so like if I can't see it, it doesn't exist. It like I have it's so hard for me to have like a medicine cabinet or something or put something like away because then I just never think about it again. So I have these
Yep.
floating shelves in my bathroom and they're great because I can put all my makeup on them and I it looks not like it prevents me from leaving everything all over my like my bathroom sink.
Yeah.
Uh but I have a bunch of like individual eyeshadows that were
Mhm.
just sort of stacked together perilously and would like fall everywhere. So I finally got some little like stackable clear containers and I put them in
Oh.
there and they I'll have to take a picture.
Yes, please. I would love that.
It looks really good. And yeah, it just looks really good. But I'm trying to I've been waking up really late because I've
Hmm.
been going to bed really late and I need to
Hmm.
like because I've had some days like last week were really busy at work. Like I just when you have to do a lot of like when you're in the zone, right? When you're working, you're in the
Oh,
zone. Fucking love that shit.
100%. Yes.
Love it. But when
Love
I'm
the
like in the
productivity.
zone, yes. And then people are like, hey, Erika, can you do this thing for me real quick? Hey, I have this question. Can we talk about this? Hey, can we sit down? I have this meeting. So I
That's
don't
my
know.
entire life.
It was mine too. When I was a secretary, oh my God.
Yeah.
When I worked
Yep.
for the Corps of Engineers, not so much, but when I worked for CHC, that was my entire job. It just people interrupting me when I was in the middle of something. And I just I got everything done, but that feeling of like not quite productivity, just I don't like it. Anyway, so that was my week.
Yeah.
Um
Can we just bring up the day that you were supposed to be teleworking? Because I need
oh.
this story in my life.
Yes, I forgot about that. Thank you for bringing it up.
You're welcome.
So Friday, I was teleworking. Everyone was teleworking. And I had to go into the office because I had to update my computer. So I just went into the office, no big deal. I was like, cool, I'm going to be the only person in the office. So I wore baggy jeans, no bra, and a crop top, as one does when they're not expecting to see anybody. Now, I pull up to work, parking lot's full. Not like there's like one or two cars. There's like 30. I'm like,
oh,
shit. And I'm not.
shit is right.
I'm not going all the way home to put on a bra and change my shirt and coming back. So I
No.
went in, updated my computer, and I was there for like 4 hours. Just because I was already there. And then my computer updated and I wanted to do some stuff before I took my computer back
100%.
home. But I
Yeah.
was like, ugh. And thankfully, my area, there wasn't anyone in there. But as I'm leaving, one of the people that works in my section, he's like, oh, hey. And I'm like, crossing my arms. And I'm like, hi. Hey. I'm
About
like not wearing.
that.
Yeah. And I'm like not wearing makeup. I'm also, caveat, I'm not one of those women that's like, oh, I could never go outside without makeup. Because for a long time, I didn't wear it. So
Same.
I wear makeup to work because I like wearing makeup to work. I wear makeup when I go places because I like to. If I don't want to, I'm not going to be like, oh God, I can't let them see me without makeup. I'm
Yeah.
adorable either way.
Facts.
So, that I was a little bit, but I just like, obviously I looked like not put together. And I was like,
You were a little more grunge down than normal.
oh yeah. Which actually I did wash my face before I went to bed. A toxic trait that I
Hey.
have is that I fall asleep in my makeup all the fucking time. And I
Same.
really need to get better about it.
Same.
Like I'm glad I didn't go to work in like makeup that I had slept in because that would have been the most embarrassing.
We need to find a company that will sponsor us that's like the magic nighttime face wash. Woo! You know, like we need that.
Real. For real.
Oh my
I
gosh.
can't wait till we have sponsors. I can't wait.
Mm.
What is the level of sponsor where you're like, you've made it as a podcast?
I don't know. That's
I
something.
feel like it's mattresses. When you get to sponsor mattresses,
What?
those are the only ones that I hear about where like their podcasts are like doing great.
That's bananas. I mean, technically, I sponsor our podcast through
True.
the Forever business. Because whatever
That's
money I
true.
get from that, I just pour back into the pod because I'm like, whatever. It's not like it makes a
Yeah.
lot, but
That's
I guess
fair.
technically.
One day. I just want to be sent a free mattress. Hello, welcome back, everyone. This episode, we are going to talk about bad romance novel euphemisms because they are hilarious.
It's gonna be so good.
Yeah. Yes, I have. So, as you know, I've talked about this on the pod before. From 2005 to 2015, I exclusively read grocery store romance novels. Maybe I'll do that for the pod sometime. I will reread one of my I think I've probably read almost every single Joanna Lindsay book or Lindsay Sands. Like those two those two authors, I read literally like every single Highlander romance that you could buy at a grocery store. I've read so many. And the thing about those is that they're definitely different from current romance novels, just in like how, not necessarily explicit, but like how they talk about it. Like it was definitely more cutesy about it. So reading bad euphemisms is one of my favorite things because I remember so many times you're in the middle of like you're reading a sex scene and you're like, please stop. Please stop. So I have a couple. And all of these, I'm reading them I have read a book with these in it. Like, there are some that are completely ridiculous that, like, yeah, sometimes they are, but these are in, like, multiple books that I personally have read. Moist folds or intimate folds. Straight to
No.
jail.
Straight
No.
to jail.
Straight to jail. I was like,
No.
that's definitely like a Regency romance one.
Okay.
Velvet Wrapped Steel. A lot of 80s romance novels have that in it. I've read that so many times. So many times. Sabrina Jeffries, I think.
Nope.
She wrote a ton of Regency romances. She was compared a lot to Julia Quinn, who wrote the Bridgerton series. I don't like Sabrina Jeffries that much, but it's just not my flavor. Every book I've read of hers has Velvet Wrapped Steel. Every single one.
I just
Like,
don't
why?
even. First of all, if a guy ever said that to me, I would immediately laugh at him. That's not sexy. That's not.
Right?
And where does the velvet come from? It's not. What?
No.
What? And steel.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly. Also, I look, I have a hard enough time staying on task. If you say velvet wrapped steel, I'm going to imagine literally velvet wrapped steel, and I'm just going to think of or velvet getting wet, and I'm just going to be like, ew, disgusting.
The first thing that came to my mind was a velvet guitar. Don't ask me why, but you said that, and I was like, weird. Like, no.
For real. Weird and gross. Apex of her thighs. I have
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
everywhere.
It's everywhere. We
Stop.
come up with something new.
Yeah.
Thank
do
you.
better. Please.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I feel the same way about seam. Like, her seam. I was like,
French.
your face. Exactly. Ew, I hate it. I'm like, ugh. I don't know why I just have such like a visceral reaction, but I'm like, disgusting.
Yeah.
This one. So many Highlander romance books have this in it. Her sheath.
I forgot about that.
Single one. Oh my God.
But
I read that.
Devil's advocate. Look at the time frame of where the books are placed. Like,
yes, and it's not the most egregious one. I will give you that. There are many worse ones. However, it's up there with like the apex of her thighs. Like,
it's up there.
Can we
for
do
sure.
better? Yeah, like, can we please like
do better?
Do better, indeed.
I had a friend that I used to work with, Chad. If you ever listen to this, you 100% know what I'm doing. We used to work individual with special needs kids, and he and I ended up working at the same house a couple of times because he worked with the son of the family I worked with, the daughter, and I don't remember how it happened, but like he was big into fitness, and I was trying to like change my routines and all this stuff and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And his catchphrase was "get better." So like it became a fire phrase with all of our clients too, because we would be helping them, like set up their or continuation of their routine to like make sure that they make their bed, they put their dirty clothes in the hamper, they pack their backpack, they eat breakfast, they go to school. You know, if you're trying to help a kid with autism, you know, set up those morning routines, you know, so it became like wildfire across the agency, especially with the kids that we specifically worked with. So like the kid that he worked with was a very loudmouth autistic kid. And on the flip side, 20 years later, that kid, after he graduated college, he wanted to come visit me in Germany. So his family paid for his family and him to come to Germany while I was there. And I got to be his tour guide after, like, really cool, like coming of age type of story. It was really cool. Side note is that when we were in Germany, because of Chad, we screamed off of one of the tallest buildings in Frankfurt, "Get better!" Because that, like, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll hashtag
You
the
have
episode
to.
with "Get better" because the, you know, her sheath is just not, no,
It's not it. It's not it.
absolutely not.
Another one that I have personal beef with this one. Anything where you refer to it as like milking, like her intimate muscles milked him, I'm like, huh?
Morning Glory Milking Farm, baby.
I cannot. I cannot. I even before that book, oh,
No,
why?
milking is like,
I hate it.
no.
I hate it.
I don't have the appropriate words to describe how much I dislike that phrase.
Yeah.
But thank you for mentioning it because it needed to be mentioned.
Yes, it is. Yes. Can we collectively not do that anymore? It's horrendous. Seed is another one that I really hate.
Ew.
Ew.
That
Yeah.
line, I've read so many books that are like, "I'm gonna give you my seed."
Yes.
Ugh.
Ugh.
I'm sorry.
Please don't.
Gross. Like,
Disgusting. Yeah. I feel the same way. I didn't write it down, but it goes along. I feel like there's a direct correlation with like books that authors that refer to like semen as seed. They're also like, I want to put my seed in your womb, and I'm like, as a person whose womb is solidly out of commission and is happy with that, disgusting. Straight to jail. Please stop.
Straight to jail. Oh, I do want to bring up the old podcast I was on, Bird in the Hand. We did have a similar conversation to this where it was badly written sex scenes by male authors. And I want to read something that we discovered because we read the book and then we actually went on to Cheap Seat Reviews podcast and we reviewed the movie because the movie is as horrendous as saying, "Baby, do you want my seed?" Like, so this is a short excerpt from the book, and I'm going to try to chill the fuck out so that I can read this, but it is, okay, so on an outing of our family association, I once cored an apple, saw to my astonishment, and with the aid of my obsession, what it looked like, and ran off into the woods to fall upon the orifice of the fruit, pretending that the cool and mealy hole, let me say that again, pretending that the cool and mealy hole was actually between the legs of that mythical being who always called me big boy when she pleaded for what no girl in all recorded history had ever done. "Oh, shove it in me, big boy," cried the cored apple that I banged silly on that picnic. Big boy, oh, give me all you've got."
No.
I'm not even done. Big boy, oh, give me all you've got, begged the empty milk bottle that I kept hidden in our storage bin in the basement to drive wild after school with my vase lined upright. "Come, big boy, come," screamed the maddened piece of liver that in my own insanity, I bought one afternoon at a butcher shop and, believe it or not, violated behind a billboard on the way to a bar mitzvah lesson. And scene.
What is that?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a book called Portnoy's Complaint. This is, let me remember the author's name because I can't at the top of my. Philip Roth is the author. Portnoy's Complaint. And I am here to tell you that did I spend the $7.99 on Apple to purchase the movie because I was like, there's a fucking movie? It was, first of all, the book took me like 2 weeks of forcing myself to read chapter after chapter because not only was it terrible, I'm so sorry, Philip Roth, there might be people that enjoy this book, but not sorry because it was terrible. Also reading through it quickly because I was morbidly fascinated about how weirdly it was written. Like, what the fuck? So, cord apple. Okay. And
mealy.
And then vase lined upright. Straight to jail. No.
No. No, absolutely not. Terrible.
Yeah. So, no. The other one that I have for you, of course, because Reddit is Reddit, and there's
also,
always.
Who wants to be called Big Boy?
I personally know a couple of people that want to be called.
Okay, let me correct myself. That is one of those things where I'm like, look, I can't say that without laughing. I'm sorry.
Now, on the reciprocation side, if anybody called me a big girl in bed, I would be like, get out. Remove yourself and get out. I don't even care about your clothes. Just go home.
Go home. I feel that's exactly how I feel about, like, if you want to be called daddy, great. Love that for you. If a dude ever called, like, if my husband was like, yeah, mommy, I would be like, divorce immediately.
No.
Absolutely not. No way. Ew.
Divorce immediately. Jesus Christ.
I could not. Disgusting. So
Reddit has been Redditing, if you will. I love me a good Reddit read. There are blog after blog after blog about terrible euphemisms. And the responses to this are wonderful. This one says, I read an MC romance recently where the MMC referred to his cum as glue. Like he said something along the lines of, come on, babe, take my glue. I have not been okay since. Disgusting. Definitely check out My Dad Wrote a Porno, which is a podcast where a man with his two friends reads his dad's erotica out loud. It's full of gems like the flesh of mankind and hung like pomegranates. Good.
We
I'm
have
gonna
to
have
listen
to
to an opera. We're gonna have to listen to that and review it.
Let's see. Oh, that's it. Oh, view more comments. I was like, where did it go? I just had it. I randomly downloaded this one audiobook, and the prose is so overdone and flowery and visceral, and I was enjoying it for what it was, but it kept referring to the girl's clit as a little corn cob.
Oh, no. It
also referred to another woman's clit as a pecan soaked in maple syrup.
Okay, caveat. I hate it when they're talking about, like, when they're talking about the female main character and they're just like, oh, she tasted like peaches or something. I'm like, no, she did not. No, she did
No,
not.
she didn't.
You can say that she tastes great or good or you love it or whatever. That's fine. Do not tell me that she tastes like strawberries, because she does not.
Now, we did have this conversation with the Trash Panda podcast about lube, about flavored lube. So could she have tasted like strawberries because of the lube that they were using? Yes. But she herself did not.
Does not. No.
No.
And these are always like Regency romances. Like, oh,
Of
she
course.
tasted like sweet honey. And I'm like, that's not.
Yeah.
That's definitely not. Also, old-timey people didn't take showers. So she probably definitely did not.
All right. So the one person commented, I really hate the phrase cleft in relation to the vagina. And there was someone who responded. He says, you've inspired me. He ran his fingers through her fleshy canyon, turned on by her moans of pleasure. Her cries escalate once he reaches that sultry summit. He presses on that beautiful button. Now, she wheezes. I need you now. He is all too ready to comply, with her soft cries still permeating the air. He prepares his spermy wormy to release its milky mother load into her depths.
Okay. First of all,
stop. Just
stop. And with the exception of that last sentence, I guarantee you I've read something incredibly similar to that.
Yes. I only have a couple more and then I'll shut up. When I was first getting into romance, I read some silly fanfics. I don't remember exactly what story, but someone called cum layonnaise, as in getting laid and mayonnaise. I couldn't eat a sandwich for a while after.
No.
Another
Yuck.
person says, fluted petals and weeping pussy are probably the terms that have made me cringe the most. And someone said, weeping is the worst. Wounds weep. Pussies get wet, like on purpose.
Yes. I think of either like, if you say like weeping, I think of crying or like a wound.
I think of sadness. I'm not trying to be sad. Like, that is the entire opposite of what I'm doing here. Like,
right? I feel like there's a period of time where it was like really popular, or like especially, like the grocery store romance novels.
Actually,
they just
romance,
like typed
that's
in a
kind
word.
of funny.
They just put in a word like wet into like and into a thesaurus and like looked up. I'm like, no, weeping, absolutely not. The only other one that I remember that I just thought of that I used to read all the time, her aching core. Can we not?
Can we just, listeners, I want to know of any other euphemisms that you may
send us all of them.
All of them. Even the ones that you enjoy, because there are some that are like good. There are some that are like, absolutely, please do that. So I just started, again, this is like the third time I've listened to this book, The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty. And for those of you that know, it is actually written by Anne Rice, but when it was released as author A.N. Roca something. It's a traditional folklore retelling of Sleeping Beauty. And it is erotica. It is top shelf erotica. And so this, let me see. What year did it come out? It had to have been in the 90s, I do believe.
Yeah.
And then
I
in
feel
the
like there was
early
Sorry, go ahead.
You can go.
Oh, I feel like in the early to mid 90s there was a lot of like erotica fairy tale retellings, because I remember being in used bookstores and like grabbing a book, because I've always liked uh fairy tale retellings, and I'm like reading it and I'm like, okay.
Yep.
I mean, I was like 18, so
Hello.
like
So of
yeah, I was
course.
like, this is great.
Yes. So in 2002, I do believe, Anne Rice came out and told the world that I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I apologize for you guys. Rokaliar, whatever. Her pen name was actually her. She came out and it was like this big thing. And there's a prologue in the audiobook where she talks about like, I wanted to do a pen name because when you have a pen name, you can write the crazy things that you want to write. And it's not necessarily crazy, but you can write the fantasy things that you want to write because it's not you, because it won't be out there as your stuff, as your material, as your whatever. And so she said when during that time frame, there was actually a lot of, like what you're saying, there was a lot of fan fiction coming out about some of those fairy tales and whatever. And she said, and I love the way that she's like, I'm a feminist. I want to see that women aren't put down for wanting to read or write romance novels or write erotica. Men have been able to watch porn and have their fantasies for years and years and years, but God forbid that women have the same thing. Like, no, ma'am, And so it's beautifully written. She wrote this letter, I guess, that she like released to the media. And so she talks about how by the time she did come out and say that it was her that wrote it, she told her dad herself. And she was like, listen, I wrote these 3 books and I don't want you to read them because it's very heavily sexual. And I'm letting you know right now that yes, it's under a pen name, but it's me. And then she said that, I don't remember, she said it was her dad and then like her uncle or, one of her friends or something, but she told them the same thing. And there was quite a bit of people that were like ragging on her because she, we all know Anne Rice is this wonderful storyteller. Interview with the Vampire is one of my favorite books of all time. And like, she's a beautiful writer. And so what the hell? Then all of a sudden she comes out with this, she comes out as saying that she is this AN pen name, and what the hell? Phenomenal. So I started listening to it again, and Prince Charming, and it literally first episode, Prince Charming finds Sleeping Beauty and he is infatuated with her. He is, wow, she is stunning. Wow, wow, wow. And he climbs on top. And it's the way that it is written is just incredible because it's written as like Sleeping Beauty wakes up and she is feral and there's this beautiful man there with her and she's been asleep since she was 16 or something. Oh my God. I started that this morning. And so I was like, man. So I listened to the whole first chapter twice because I was like laying on my bed, like, oh, okay. So, and again, fantasy is fine. Like, people that rag on it, like, shut the hell up. Like, you read you and I'm going to read mine. Like, shut up. And I know we wanted to kind of talk about the things that we're reading right now. What I just finished is The 5-Year Lie, which I did find on Book Talk, but that I was very impressed. Oh, shit.
Prince, she said. He sighed. That is lovely.
My bad. So The 5-Year Lie I was very impressed with it. Let me find it again. The main character is like an heiress to a security company. And she works part-time. She's an artist. She wants to make her glass art pieces. She wants to do all this stuff. It turns into like a murder mystery, and then there's a love interest, and she has a son and nobody knows who the father is, and there's like it's pretty freaking good, and the ending is not what I expected. And like we've all, well, I shouldn't say we all, but probably our listeners, our general demographic is we've been reading for years and years, and we all can kind of guess the way that most books are going to end by the time we get about a third, maybe halfway through a book. This one I had pegged for X, Y, and Z, right? And I was wrong on each of them. And I was like, okay, that I very much enjoy. I still like being surprised by books and all of that. So it kind of reinvigorated my, I don't know. I don't know. Like just, I love reading in general, and listening audiobooks is more my thing because I'm always like multitasking, but it just reinvigorated that. So then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to listen to the Sleeping Beauty one again because God knows I love Anne Rice. And then I downloaded like 3 more audiobooks. I'm like, this week I'm just going to listen. Like that's just going to be my go-to. But The 5-Year Lie by Serena Bowen, highly recommend. Highly, highly recommend.
I'll definitely have to check that out. If you are on a romance kick, read or listen to The Soldier Scoundrel, or she's got a couple other ones that are narrated. The narrator, amazing. So good.
If
So
anyone on this planet has a voice kink, it's me. And if sorry, not sorry. If the narrator of an audiobook has their shit together, thank you. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's great. That book, A Soldier Scoundrel, I've read it twice and I've listened to the audiobook once because it is one of my favorite books.
You have talked about that on a previous episode because we did a couple of shorts on it, I believe. And I think there's a post out there on maybe Instagram.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, it's so good. I was reading The Very Long Way to a Small Angry Planet.
Dystopian?
But yeah, kind of. But I put it in the timeout pile because I just didn't have the brain power. So I have been going back to other books that I love or put down. I have this pile that I call the timeout pile because I'm a vibe reading gremlin. So if I'm reading a book and I'm like halfway through it and I'm like, I like this book, it's just not the vibe. I just don't feel like it right now. I'll put it down mid-chapter and just wait until the vibe is right.
Ready again.
That's what I did. Yes. That's what I did with Eyes on Me by Sarah Kate.
I really like Sarah Kate.
Me
really
too.
Like.
Me too. It's the second one in the Salacious Players Club. The first one is
the first one is so. Listen, I do not judge people, and the number of times that people sent me praise, including my author friend Meg, she was like, "Girl, you have to." And so I listened to the audiobook, and I had to stop listening to it while I was driving anywhere because I So
I talk about all the time, like I don't read a lot of romance. I read more fantasy than I used to. But if you're talking about like there are still when I rag on like Morning Glory Milking Farm, it's not because I don't read it and I think it's beneath me. It's just because it has to be a certain style for me to like it. And Sarah Kate,
excellent.
Yes. So good at it. And the other book that I'm reading is just because it's like one of my comfort reads, which is
Julia Quinn.
Mr. Cavendish. Yep.
Mr.
I've
Cavendish,
loved,
I presume. Mm-hmm.
yep. I don't read a lot of Julia Quinn anymore. And like the Bridgerton show just isn't the type of show that I like. But I read all those books and I read them, and it was one of those things where I used to read like I used to read so much, and I read everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that was a romance novel that you could buy at the grocery store.
Yes.
And you can
There
get for
is a
like less than,
difference.
yeah.
There is a
And you can get
difference.
for less than $5 at like a used bookstore.
Thrift
And I
stores
remember,
also done and done.
yes. I read so many of those books. I can't even remember them all. And I remember the first book that I read of Julia Quinn, which was To Sir Philip with Love, which was the fourth Bridgerton book.
I think we've definitely talked about Mr. Cavendish. I don't know if we've talked about this.
So that was the first book I read of hers, and I was reading it. It's not even my favorite. It's not even like my favorite book of hers. It's not even the best book that she's written, in my opinion. But that was the first book that I read where I was like, this is literature. This is what I like. This is it.
This is literature.
Yeah, right? I'm like, this is amazing. And Mr. Cavendish, I presume, is a duology, which is incredibly underrated. And it is definitely the type of duology that you have to like the style, because it's essentially two stories. The first one starts a little bit before the second one, but 90% of the stories overlap. So you're just getting two different perspectives of the same story. And a lot of people didn't like that. They're like, oh, it's the same story. The romances in them are totally different, which is why I really liked it. And you got the other perspective. There were several scenes where like you didn't get the other person's perspective, and then you get it in Mr. Cavendish, I presume. You can read Mr. Cavendish, I presume, as the standalone, and it's also excellent, which is what I do. Like the first one was good, but it's not, I already read it, so it's not my like. But Mr. Cavendish, I presume, is one of those books where it's sort of like in the beginning you're like, oh, she's going to be a damsel in distress and he's going to come along and like save her and everything's going to be fine. Except it's not really like that. Like, she is because of her circumstances, and Julia Quinn did a really good job sort of presenting it that way. Like, women in like 1812 or whatever didn't have a lot of agency on their own, and it's definitely like an arranged marriage situation. And it's her sort of like asserting herself and her personality, and he's sort of like assumes that she is going to be a certain way and she's not, and he like, it's just so good. It's so good. So good. But I love all Julia Quinn books. They all slap. Every single one. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. She has two series that they do after the Bridgerton series that are characters in that universe, and they're all really good.
Please. Please.
My comfort read, this is one of my comfort reads, is Mr. Cavendish, I presume. So I'm starting that because I've been in not a reading slump, but just like, I've been reading really good books, but they're like more literary fiction. And I'm like, give me a cheesy love story, please.
Yeah, there's times that I like need it. Like the Sarah Kate series. Lord have mercy.
So good.
That is not a comfort read. That's a Sarah time. But like sorry. Not sorry. I'm not sorry for that. Comfort reads, though. I don't think that I have like a book. Now, okay, I guess I do. I just haven't read it in several years now. We all know who Nora Roberts is. She's wonderful. She is lovely. She does a lot of romance type of books that are wrapped in a neat little bow, and we call it a day. She wrote a series. Man, I don't remember. I haven't talked about this in a long time. She wrote a series about 4 brothers who, one has the family farmstead and stayed in the hometown, and all the others, well, maybe 2 stayed and the other 2 left or something. But the one brother, his name is Rafe, and God knows that name alone is just sex on a stick. But Rafe McCade comes back into town, and he's mysterious, and he's got this scar on his face, and he's tall, dark, and handsome, and like he is very feisty, and he starts rebuilding this worn down family home, and like rugged and small town romance, and the mystery brother coming back after all these years. Like when I first read that, I want to say I was in high school, maybe college. And I probably read it 15 different times in 10 years of just, it's Christmas. We're doing it, right? I haven't read it in a while. I might have to download it again. But that, as far as like, I don't necessarily have a comfort book, but if I were to, that would probably be the one that I would just go back to, because Rafe McCade is like the man for me.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, like, how many books I've read where the main character has that name? A lot.
Really?
A lot. Yeah.
I've
Which, great first name. Not,
Oh,
I also did not read until recently. I was never really that into contemporary romance. I was definitely more of a historical romance fan. So Nora Roberts, I've read a couple of her books, but I haven't read that series, and now I might have to pick it up because
it's pretty good. And they're short and sweet stories. Like it's maybe 120 pages per brother. It's not, anything crazy. But one I do want to bring up, my very good friend Meg Becker is a contemporary romance author, a little bit on the spicy side of the spicy. Well, I think she calls it spicy romance. The book is going to be released on the 19th of September. It's called Tasting Sin. And she's very, very good at multiple POV. And so, yeah. Are you okay if I read the 2?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So Nellie is the main female character and Ronan is the main male character. Already love the names. Okay.
Sold.
Nellie. I recognized him immediately. My brother's best friend. He left 17 years ago when I needed him the most, but now he was standing in my bakery and he wanted to help me. I didn't care that I was about to lose the only thing I had left. I wasn't going to let him know that. I was sure I could handle it on my own until I couldn't. When things started to spiral out of control, I was left with no choice. I had to forgive Ronan Moretti or I would lose everything. Yes.
Okay. Yes. And also, in my opinion, a very underrated trope is like brother's best friend, or
100%.
I love that shit so much. I think that's why I like Julia Quinn so much, because there's a lot of that in her books.
Yes.
Or like friends to lovers. I'm when you were like explaining this book to me, I was like, I'm down. Say less.
So Ronan's point of view. She hadn't crossed my mind in 17 years, not since her brother died. Now she was standing in front of me, and the for-lease window. Fuck me. And the I'm going to cut that, but that was fucking funny. Okay. So Ronan's point of view. She hadn't crossed my mind in 17 years, not since her brother died. Now she was standing in front of me, and the for lease sign in her window was no longer a business opportunity. She refused to let me help her, but I was never good at taking no for an answer. I was determined to take care of Nellie Giordano, no matter how many cupcakes I had to buy. Once I got a taste of her, it was a craving I couldn't resist. So, I'm very excited about this. There is an age gap. It is a brother's best friend. There's a strong, independent female main character, and there are some dark secrets involved in it. So I am loving it. If you guys want to look at, I'll add some of the photos and whatnot. They also feature a cat in the series who's an orange cat named Spice, and it's Nellie's furry best friend. So, so for those of you, our future episodes, we've got some treats lined up for you guys. So Erika and I are going to be arc readers for Meg Becker, contemporary romance author, spicy romance author, for the book called Tasting Sin, which you got a little preview of now. She is going to be featured on the show, and the episode will release just after the book releases. So very excited to share that with you guys. Also, our next episode is going to feature a Hollywood actress. Her name is Lish Bliss, and on a very bragging and very proud level, she is my sister. She was just in a movie. It's called Good Bad Things. They did a limited release across the States, and I'm very much the sister that bought 5 tickets. I go to the show, and when she first appeared on the screen, which is pretty early in the show, she first appeared on the screen. I stood up out of my chair, and of course, I have my phone in the theater because I'm a terrible patron. I have my phone in the theater recording the screen, and I'm like, "That's my sister. That's her. That's my sister." And there's people in the theater that are like, "What the fuck? Like, sit down, lady." But there's a couple other people that clapped, and a couple of hoot and hollers or whatever. So then I sat down, and I was doing a live review of the movie to her, and it was the same night that she was going to like the premiere. And so she's in California, it's a couple hour time difference. So while she was getting ready, I'm sending her all these raving text messages like, "Oh my God, like this is so incredible." So she is going to be on our next episode. I'm very excited about this, that she's carving out a little bit of time. She also is understaffed and very much talks about how much she likes the show. And yeah, I'm really excited to share that with you guys.
So this week, I have been absolutely obsessed with this song called "The Sex Was Good" by Xana, spelled with an X, or Xana, Xana.
Yeah.
If you like feminine rage, put to music.
100%.
It's amazing, and I love it.
It is so good.
You froze, and the picture is amazing. It's just you with your eyes super open, and it's funny.
Super.
Anyway,
you can still hear me?
So that's it for us, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We love every single one of you. Please like and share and comment on any platform that you see us on, and we'll see you next week or 2 weeks. Whatever.
It's fine. Ugh. I do also want to shamelessly put out there for our listeners, guys, it is a small podcast, and I'm not going to say the number of followers that we have right now or subscribers. I'm very excited because we've come a long way in 6 months, and like it's really cool to see like the growth of things. So shamelessly, I would like to ask for reviews, because if you listen to Apple Podcasts or you listen to Spotify, I would love it if you guys could at least leave a review. Honest, I don't expect 5-star across the board. Like, that would be lovely, but I don't expect that. But it would be great if you guys could leave a little bit of a review on whatever platform it is that you listen to. Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, whatever it is that you listen to, it would be great. So yeah, we love you guys, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.